Oh, Dune. David Lynch's Dune. Dune 1984. The thing about this film is that, like, in my brain, it's telling me it's a bad film. I know that. I know it's a bad adaptation. I know it's flawed and such. But in my heart, I can't help it. I kind of love this movie. Don't get me wrong, there are things in this film that just don't work. But the stuff that does work really does work. And overall, I kind of love this film, but also I don't think it's a terrible adaptation of Dune. Like, the stuff it adapts well enough. There's an asterisk there for certain characters, namely a certain red-headed floating fat man. But I mean, for a filmmaking attempt in the 1980s to try and adapt Dune is bold and just... There's so much in this film that you can't help but appreciate, especially when it comes to most of the aesthetics, like the costumes and the production design. I mean, without this film, you wouldn't have much of the Dune iconography as we do today. Though there are certain things that don't work at all. We'll get more into that before we get into the commentary. But before we get into the commentary, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's all down there. It's all free. Also, follow me on Instagram. You know, that's also free too. It's all down in the description. Oh, hold on. Let me get the Ducal Atreides signet ring. This is my father's ducal signet. I'm Paul Atreides, Duke! Okay, sorry, yeah, wrong film. Don't worry, we'll get to that soon enough. Anyways, yeah, ducal signet ring on. Yeah, let's get into this. Look, say what you want about this film, you can't deny that this film is not iconic. Also, tell me Virginia Madsen is just not stunning as the Princess Irulan. When I think of the Princess Irulan, I see Virginia Madsen. That is no shade to Florence Pugh. And also, this is not me saying that Florence Pugh is, you know, not good looking or anything. No, Florence Pugh is great as Irulan. I mean, her opening introductory shot in Dune Part 2, you look at her, I think it's shot on the Helios 442 lens or something. It's shot on that, like, really dreamy looking lens. There's that shot of Florence Pugh. She looks absolutely beautiful. You look at that shot and you're just like, damn, that's one of the most beautiful people to ever exist. So know that when I say that I prefer Virginia Madsen's look as the Princess Irulan, that is not me comparing beauty. I'm just talking about the overall aesthetic. I like the bigger hair, the more opulent costume design. Don't get me wrong, Florence Pugh's dresses are cool in Dune Part 2. Like, the chainmail thing she wears is kind of cool, but just when I think of the Princess Irulan, I think of Virginia Madsen.
The most precious substance in the universe is the spice melange. The spice is vital to space travel. Use the orange spice gas, which gives them the ability to fold space.
Okay, yeah. The thing with Dune 1984 that is probably the worst thing about it is its exposition problem, because this film literally talks to you and info dumps on you and goes, hey, if you haven't read Dune, don't worry, here's all the lore. Especially at the beginning of the film. Like, at the beginning of the film, it's so repetitive. It's kind of like, why are we watching certain scenes? You keep repeating the same bits of information. Though a nice detail is that they use a paraphrased version of the beginning of Dune. You know, the beginning is a very difficult and delicate time, and make sure that the balances are correct and such.
A beginning is a very delicate time.
I'm paraphrasing, and David Lynch paraphrases it in this film, but it's nice that it's here. Though a thing I will say about the Villeneuve version is that I like how he doesn't outright go and use those lines of dialogue. He kind of just visually demonstrates it. You know, we see Timothée Chalamet as Paul on Caladan waking up, and then it's like the year 10191. And then it's like Caladan, homeworld of House Atreides and such. Like, that's nice too. That being said, though, I do kind of wish he included the beginning is a very difficult and measured time. Make sure the balances are correct and such.
Travel to any part of the universe without moving.
Okay, I both like and don't like the whole spice melange exposition dump, because on the one hand, it's nice that David Lynch has read the book, and you can at least tell for the most part that we get the sci-fi elements of Dune in this film, but then also, it's so exposition heavy, and then the more you watch the opening of the film, the more you're just repeating information. But that being said, at least he addresses what spice does, unlike Villeneuve, who just kind of goes, yeah, spice is a thing, and spice is important, and it gives Paul his visions, but what else does it do?
The spice must flow.
Okay, fun fact, spice must flow is a David Lynch original line. I didn't realize that when I first started reading Dune and such. I didn't even realize, I think just through osmosis, but also having seen this film, read the book, and then seen this film multiple times because this film is just insane. The thing about it that I didn't realize is that the spice must flow is a David Lynch original line. It doesn't exist in the books. Though a thing with this whole Guild Navigator report, the thing about it is that whilst it's kind of cool, it's also, again, repetitive information, but also, we're about to watch a scene where a navigator goes to see the Emperor, and they're just going to repeat the same information all over again. The thing about this film too that you can't deny is the aesthetic. The overall design is very ambitious, but also it's very striking. It's like, I think this is Blade Runner pre-Blade Runner. Like, you watch Dune 1984 and you kind of go, yeah, this is the building blocks for Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. That being said, though, not all the aesthetics holds up. Like, you look at the Sardaukar armor and then you look at the Spacing Guild, you know, bin bag looking things and you're like, what are they wearing? This just looks so cheap. But then also, there's a charm to it as well. I don't know the proper way to kind of justify it, because I love it because it looks so cheap, but also I hate it because it looks so cheap. Also, I don't know what it is with David Lynch's weird, like, aesthetic with the bulldogs and the pugs in this film. Like, what is going on? But then again, you look at the sets, the craftsmanship is stunning, the design work is stunning, this looks fantastic. The design elements are so influential, you can see it across all Dune media, you can even see it in Villeneuve's version as well. A thing that I can't deny about the film is the dialogue is very clunky. It's just characters saying, I am this to you, my person, and then also, leave me alone, and then we're alone. Like, yeah, we know you're alone, we just saw that you're alone. Okay, the Spacing Guild navigator with the vagina mouth. Like, how can you not love the design aesthetic, the weirdness of it? But then also, it's not how they are described in the books, but it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. Like, it's so weird. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, what the hell is this? What am I watching? And then the more I read the books, I was like, oh, it is like a thing in the books, but like, David Lynch, like, over Lynchifies it, I guess. Like, it's creepy, it's weird, it's very, not phallic, what would you call it, like, vaginic or something? But it's bold, it's striking. Like, the thing you can't deny about this film is that David Lynch has a vision, and he's going for it.
New machines.
Oh? Yes.
This exchange with the dialogue as well is really awkward too. Like, the Spacing Guild navigator is, like, conversing with the Emperor, but the Emperor's, like, acting is very wooden. For this bit, he's like, oh? Yes. Yes. Yeah, he keeps repeating yes throughout this entire scene, and I'm like, what are we doing here, Lynch? What's going on? Also, the thing about this scene is that, again, it's just repeated information. The Spacing Guild navigator is just like, oh, there's a feud between House Atreides and House Harkonnen. You're funding the Harkonnens to defeat the Atreides. And now, you know, the spice is in danger. The information is just repetitive. But then the thing is, too, is that you're kind of spoiling what's happening in the first half of the film, too. Like, for the rest of the runtime, for the next, like, hour, we're just waiting for the Harkonnens to attack the Atreides. There's no mystery to it. We're just told everything.
Powerful Bene Gesserit sisterhood for 90 generations has been manipulating bloodlines to produce the Kwisatz Haderach.
Again, we're just told all this information, but it's not organically told throughout the story. It's just, okay, cool, we're on Caladan now. By the way, on Caladan, Lady Jessica trained Paul Atreides, but also, you know, they're trying to breed the Kwisatz Haderach, the super being of the Bene Gesserit. I won't lie, watching this film and then Dune 2021, Villeneuve's Part 1, watching them back to back, you just see the difference in the filmmaking, how much more subtle Villeneuve is about everything, and you kind of just go, damn, this film is, like, so clunky.
She disobeyed and gave birth to a son.
Again, we shouldn't be told this. We should be seeing this through the characters' actions, through the conversations the characters are having and saying. Like, I do think Irulan's narration is both a blessing and a curse of this film, because it's a blessing in terms of it pays homage to the book's opening chapters, where each chapter opens with a passage from the Princess Irulan, but then also, it's so clunky and it's not organically woven into the film, and it doesn't really pay any thematic resonance. It's just like, hey, this thing's happening, now this thing's happening, now this thing's happening because of this thing.
There, Arrakis.
There, Arrakis. I really like Carl MacLachlan as Paul Atreides. Like, there are times where he looks a bit too old to be 15, but overall, Carl MacLachlan is a great casting choice for Paul Atreides. Also, a thing that I just found out, and I didn't realize this, was that the captain in How I Met Your Mother is portrayed by Carl MacLachlan. That blew my mind. Like, this doesn't have any relevance to Doom. I found that out and I was like, no way, that's young Paul Atreides, but like as an old man. What?
Worms attack all rhythmic vibrations.
So this expositional bit with the film book and stuff, I don't hate it, but also you compare it to the Villeneuve version because, look, I'm sorry, I'm going to compare it to the most popular version of Dune that's currently going right now. The thing that is different is the delivery. A lot of the delivery in this film is very robotic, very stilted. In the Villeneuve version, you've got like a really soothing voice. I think that's also Joe Walker, the editor, that's the voice of the film book in that film. The dialogue in the 2021 version isn't as clunky as this one, where it's just like, this is that. then you do this. And then this happens like that. This film really is just spoon-feeding the audience, but also expositing so much. It's really overwhelming at times.
Never one drop of rain on Arrakis.
Never one drop of rain on Arrakis. The thing about this film I kind of love is that this film is basically just ASMR the movie. Like, it's just funny.
Giddy Prime and the Baron Harkonnen. The enemy.
Yes, we know. We know that the Atreides and the Harkonnens are feuding. We get it. Stop saying it.
I'd know the difference. Yes. Perhaps he would have that.
Okay, so the ASMR narration thing, it's a gift and a curse of this film, because on the one hand, I like the idea of it. The problem is that a lot of the ASMR inner monologue narration is just so clunky, so on the nose, so obvious, and it's kind of like, yeah, we can tell, we see it across your face, you don't need to keep saying it.
I'm not in the mood.
Not in the mood. Mood's a thing for cattle and love play, not fighting.
So Patrick Stewart's Gurney, I think he's fine. Like, he's not the pitch perfect version of Gurney Halleck, but I like him. But then again, it's Patrick Stewart, so it's hard not to like him. But also, has Patrick Stewart just always looked this age? Like, this is 1984. How old is he here? He looks the exact same in this film than he does in, like, X-Men Days of Future Past. Oh, the shields, look. I want to excuse it, but I can't. This just looks terrible. It looks awful. Like, even for the 80s, the effect itself is bad. It's dodgy looking. The thing is, too, is that apparently this, like, took so much effort to do for the time. So I'm kind of like, what is the point? Like, there are other ways you probably could have done the shield, like do some, like, overlaying or some, like, transparency stuff. I don't know if the technology at the time allowed for it, but, like, you know how they used to make, like, lightning in old school films and stuff? Just do that with, like, energy around them, just saying those are the shields. Like, what is this? Just, Lynch, what were you doing?
There have been documented sightings of worms as large as 450 meters in the deep desert. We don't know much about the Fremen. They have blue within blue eyes.
I get what Lynch is trying to do here. He's trying to, like, drop in elements and references of the book and information about the lore of Dune. Again, it's just clunky. It's just like, oh, we're going to Arrakis. Okay, cool. What about the Fremen? What about the worms? Oh, the worms are this long, and also the Fremen are addicted to spice, and their eyes are blue. And it's like, okay, we could probably just see all that, and then we probably ask those questions later. But we haven't seen a Fremen. We haven't seen a sandworm yet. What is that? Why did he do that? What's going on? Oh, not the wedding module. Look, I get it. Training stunt people to do martial arts in the desert would be difficult. But what is this sonic gun thing? Like, what are we doing here? What? Again, the set design and the aesthetics, they're awesome. I love the look of this film. Duncan? Who is this geek? That's not Duncan, Idaho. Where's Jason Momoa? Alright, that's me, no. But the thing is, I look at this guy, that's not Duncan, Idaho to me. Like, I just see Jason Momoa now. But also, the thing is with Duncan is that Duncan's only in this film for, like, 2 scenes. And, like, there's kind of no point of including him if, like, he's just not in it.
The sleeper must awaken.
I like Jürgen Prochnow as Duke Leto Atreides. I think he does a good job. But the thing is I don't know what this dialogue is. The whole, like, sleeper must awaken thing. It's kind of like, what are we talking about? This isn't a thing in the books. This isn't, like, a theme. Especially, like, you look at Paul Atreides in this film, too. He doesn't have the whole, like, terrible purpose, visions of the future and stuff. I don't know what we're doing here with this whole the sleeper must awaken thing. Like, don't get me wrong. It is iconic, but what are we doing here? The sleeper must awaken, I don't think is a line from the book. So, like, I don't know thematically or, like, I don't know what Lynch is trying to say, basically. Oh, these raindrop effects. The thing is with, like, the visions is that, like, they're done okay for the time period, but, like, Lynch just keeps reusing the same, like, stock footage image or video clip of the raindrops. It's so tiresome.
Tell me of your homeworld, Usul.
Okay, so Sean Young as Chani is fine. Like, Chani is, like, a nothing character in this. But the thing that I didn't realize is that Sean Young is also Rachel in Blade Runner. I was like, who is the Blade Runner? Yeah, she's the Blade Runner girl. She's Rachel in Blade Runner. I didn't realize that. That's really cool.
Tonight, I may lose my son.
Again, with the ASMR inner monologue, like, I appreciate it, but I don't because it's so on the nose. I wish the dialogue itself was more subtle.
Jessica, you were told to bear only daughters to the Atreides. You thought only of a duke's desire for a son? Desires don't come into this.
So, the thing is with this scene is that it just talks about why Jessica defied the Bene Gesserit orders to birth a daughter. So, why did we have Irulan earlier mention that? We didn't need it.
Arrakis. Dune. Desert planet.
I won't lie, I kind of love and appreciate the fact that Lynch included Arrakis, Dune, Desert Planet. Like, that's one of my favourite lines. I love the repetition of that line in the book. And the way he slips in, it works. I mean, it's not like the most organic thing ever. Paul is just sleep talking like, Arrakis, Dune, Desert Planet. And it's like really on the nose, but I appreciate it. It adds character to the film. The Daffy Duck version of the voice is hilarious. Like, the interpretation of the voice is fine for the time period, but hasn't aged the best. And look, I think it will be unfair for me to compare this scene to the Villeneuve scene because at the time, before watching Dune 2021, I thought this scene in the 1984 film was done quite well. But, you know, having seen the 2021 version so many times and the overall aesthetic of that film and just, it's superior. Like, I don't want to, like, be rude to this scene and compare it and be like, the Villeneuve one's so much better. I mean, it is, let's not state the obvious, but also, that's not to demerit this scene. I think the way this scene is done in this film is pretty well done. I like the burning hand effect. I love Carl MacLachlan's delivery of the litany against fear. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. Also, he, unlike Rebecca Ferguson, actually says total obliteration in this version, unlike in the 2021 version.
The pain! Enough!
The pain! Okay, yeah, that's kind of corny and cheesy, but like, it adds character to it, I guess. Okay, aesthetic-wise, I don't love the look of Gidi Prime. I appreciate the design work put into it, but I don't love it.
It is by the juice of Safu that thoughts acquire speed, the lips acquire stains, stains become a warning. It is by will alone I set my mind in motion.
Also, Piter in this film is better than the 2021 version, but only because he's more accurate to the book. But also, the thing that I find funny is that Piter in this film is portrayed by Brad Dourif, who is also Grima Wormtongue. And realistically, when you look at Piter DeVries and Grima Wormtongue, they are basically the same character. So it's ironic that this actor portrayed both of those characters. But also, what is it with the Mentats and Lynch's aesthetic? Like, can they just, like, not trim the eyebrows or something? Look, I hate everything to do with the Harkonnens in this film, minus Sting. Other than that, I hate the aesthetic. I don't like the red hair with the weird boils. I don't like their weird, like, cat thing. I also don't like the weird heart plugs. I don't like it. I hate the Harkonnens in this, and I hate the Baron. Okay, I know this isn't Bill Murray, but why does he look so much like Bill Murray but with red hair? Shut up. I hate the Baron. I genuinely don't. It's not the actor's fault. It's Lynch's take on the Baron, his direction of the Baron. The actor is doing a fine enough job for what he's being told to do. I just hate this depiction of the Baron. He sucks. What's with Raban's weird frog juice drink? Like, what is going on? Okay, the thing about this film too is that it does, like, talk about the Baron's pedophilia, but not really, because he doesn't do anything, like, to the boys sexually. He just, like, touches them a bit, but I mean, like, he doesn't, like, full on, you know, assault them, but also it's like he does the weird thing with the heart plug, and I have no idea what that's about either.
The Duke will die before these eyes, and he'll know. He'll know!
I hate how he screams every line. The Duke will die before these eyes, and he'll know. I hate how he screams every line. I hate his weird fat suit thing. I hate that he's got, like, painted nails and he's barefoot, and then he walks into that weird goo juice thing. I hate it. I don't like it.
Oh, Miss Caladan so much.
Oh, Miss Caladan so much. I don't know what the point of that was. Like, why did she just rather than, oh, I'm gonna miss Caladan? Yeah, for the 1980s, the space effects aren't that bad. The thing is, too, though, is I don't feel like we need to see the whole bending space thing. Like, we don't need to see the navigators and stuff. Like, Villeneuve was right to just, like, montage through it.
The voice from the outer world.
Listen, okay?
Bringing the holy war
The jihad.
Okay, this is one of the times where David Lynch is being a real G and is better than Denis Villeneuve because he's not a coward, he's not a chicken. He didn't chicken out and using the word jihad, holy war spreading across the universe. Get out of here, it's jihad. Like, there's a reason why Frank Herbert specifically chose the jihad word rather than holy war, because in his version of the story, jihad meant holy war, but also the whole meaning of jihad itself, Islamically, is that it's also a spiritual struggle as well. Like, the two words are meant to be one and it's supposed to have a proper meaning. That's the reason why it's called a jihad in the books. But then again, in Villeneuve's defense, the word jihad in the 80s probably didn't have as much, connotation and terrorist affiliation than in the 2000s. But then again, I feel like Villeneuve chickened out and should have used the word jihad to explain to audiences the proper meaning behind the word rather than the meaning that it is associated with within the media.
So you are Dr. Kynes, the judge of the change.
And the imperial ecologist, sire.
Man, Max von Sydow does not age, does he? He looks the exact same in this film as he does in Game of Thrones, just like with greyer hair. Also, Dr. Kynes being a man in this is book accurate. I mean, that's not me taking away from Sharon Duncan Brewster's performance at all. She's fantastic in Dune 2021. I'm just pointing out the fact that Kynes in this film and in the books is a man. I also don't mind the look of the still suits in this film. I think they're fine for what they are. I like them. The Spice Harvester scene, for the most part, is done fine enough. Like, it's the scene from the book. It lacks the gravitas of the Villeneuve version, but the scene's done fairly well. I also like David Lynch's cameo as the Spice Comms guy. I think it's fun.
But sire, we can't leave all this spice.
Damn the spice. You over here! Run! Run!
Run! Okay, that's a bit over dramatic, but it's kind of funny. But also, the practical effects of the worms are pretty good. Like, for the 1980s, it's really well done.
He's holding something back. Yet, there's the imperial conditioning.
This scene is the one scene where the inner monologue works really well. I don't know what Lynch did on this day, but he did it really well.
The sleeper must awaken.
The sleeper must awake. That's the problem with the visions in this film. They're really repetitive. They look like stock footage, and it's so lazy too. Like, they just reuse the same imagery over and over again. The Hunter-Seeker scene is adapted fairly well. I don't really have a problem with it. The thing is too with this film is that when David Lynch sticks to the book, he adapts those scenes fairly well. Also, I won't lie, I prefer Yue's portrayal in the 1984 film than I do in the Villeneuve version. The Villeneuve version is really rushed. Yue isn't in a lot of scenes. Like, he's got a nice presence and dynamic with Paul, but for me, the overall betrayal is lacking. Here, it works much better. It's just the way Lynch executes it, and also the way it's presented. There's a traitor amongst them, someone's going to betray them. Although I critiqued the opening with the Space Navigator and the Emperor, at least that scene establishes that there's a traitor amongst House Atreides and someone will betray them, and so when Yue betrays them, it's not like far out of left field. The film mentions things earlier on too, like the Imperial Conditioning and Yue's wife Wana. It's seeded earlier than in the Villeneuve version where Yue just betrays them and it's just like, I have to free my wife now.
The tooth. The tooth.
The tooth. The tooth. The tooth. Okay, the boiler suit Sardaukar armor is hilarious, and I love that Villeneuve references them in the Harkonnen armor in Dune Part 2. It's just silly in this film. It doesn't look great. But the thing that I love too is how the Sardaukar just pick up the Atreides soldiers and just chuck them. It's so funny. Ugh. Why? Why did he do that? Duncan! Bye, Duncan. You were, a character, I guess. Yeah, scenes like Paul and Jessica escaping the Harkonnens and taking over the Ornithopter, it's done well. It's the scene from the book. It's done well.
You're alive, my Baron.
I'm alive, huh?
I wish he wasn't. I hate this Baron so much, and not in like a good way, in a way where I'm just like, this character sucks. So we've gone past the first hour, and the thing is that David Lynch, I feel, adapts the first third actually of the Dune book. I think he adapts it well enough. The problem is that we get into the second part, and it's not a completely different story, but it has like no substance. Paul and Jessica are in the desert. Paul has this vision, but this vision has nothing to do with the book. There is nothing about Paul's terrible purpose and him unleashing a holy war that will spread across the universe. There's nothing about Muad'Dib and how he will rise as like a spiritual leader amongst the Fremen. There is no Fremen politics. I don't know what the point of the second half of this film is. It's not adapting any of the themes or the ideas of the book. It just does plot points from the book, but there's no substance to it. That's the problem with the second half of this film. Also, Kynes just kind of dies in this one. Like, he doesn't help the Atreides, he's just there and he dies. Like, there's no real point to his death.
I will take the boy man.
What was that? Why did I will take the boy man? What was that? That's one of those weird quirks of this film that I love. Like, random things will happen and you're just like, what? Why? That's why I love this film. Everything they do with the Fremen is so rushed. They literally just walk in like, oh my god, wow, they snuck up on us. Wow, such stealth. Oh no. Do you know what we're gonna take, Paul? Oh no, Jessica beat me in a fight. Oh, it's fine. We'll take them in. We'll call this one Muad'Dib.
You are Paul Muad'Dib.
The thing is too though is that they shot the Jamis fight. Like, Paul fights Jamis in a deleted scene, which is also apparently like an extended version that was shown on TV or something. They filmed the scene, but the studio cut it for runtime or something. Like, what? That's something I'm going to point out a lot in the second half as well, is that there are scenes that they filmed, they just cut it. There are scenes from the book that they just cut. Oh, can this Baron shut up? I hate him.
And squeeze! And squeeze! Give me spice!
What are you doing, Lynch? Why? Fade honestly does nothing in this film apart from the final fight. Like, Sting is fine. I like his performance. He has nothing to do in this film. Okay, Jessica became the Reverend Mother. Great. This is when the film just starts skipping and rushing things like, oh great, Jessica became the Reverend Mother. Great. Alia's preborn. Great. I don't know what is up with Thufir and the weird cat poison thing. Like, this is in the book, but it's got nothing to do with cats. And, like, the Thufir thing doesn't really pay off in the end either, so it's kind of, like, here for no real reason.
Johnny, I love you. I've always loved you.
Okay, Paul and Chani's romance in this film sucks, purely for the fact that all that happens is that he dreams of her, they meet, and all they do is, like, kiss and suck face. That's literally all they do. Again, I've talked about it before. I don't know what the whole weirding way in this film is supposed to be. I don't know what these sonic guns are. It's silly, it's stupid, it's fun to laugh at, but this ain't got nothing to do with Dune. Okay, Paul rode the worm. Great. The film doesn't make it look very difficult. It's really easy, and it doesn't have like the tangibility of the Villeneuve version and such. Like, yeah. For the 80s, it's alright in terms of the effects, I guess, but it lacks in a reality. It looks very silly and cheesy. It's like, oh yeah, we're on the worm now. Woo! The second half of the film also just completely rushes past Paul as like the liberator of the Fremen, them going and disrupting Spice production. They really make it quick and breezy, like it's too quick and breezy.
Paul's sister Alia matured at a frightening rate.
The goat, Alia, the goat. Villeneuve, you chicken. Why didn't you do Alia, man?
You're just a chicken. Chip, 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 chip.
You young pup. You young pup. Granny man. They did the thing from the book.
Johnny. You were calling my name.
Johnny, I've got to drink the water of life now just because the Emperor's coming. Yeah. There is no real impactful reason as to why Paul drinks the water of life in this film. He just does it. I don't know what's up with all the Reverend Mothers like having nosebleeds and stuff. It's weird what's going on here. I don't mind the psychedelic effects. They're alright. They're pretty decent. I like what Lynch is trying to... the feeling he's trying to encapsulate. It's fine, but I don't get the nosebleeds, and overall the scene is like, why did Paul drink the water of life in this film? He just did it because. In the book, it's because Gurney's about to assassinate Jessica. Paul stops them, but Paul's like, oh, I didn't have a vision about this. I didn't know this was coming, so I need to unlock my sight even further. Here, Paul just drinks it so he can get blue eyes and go, Father! The sleeper has awakened!
Father! The sleeper has awakened!
Arrakis, Dune, desert planet.
This shot of Carl MacLachlan's Paul is iconic. Carl MacLachlan, if he was in a film with a better script, would be an awesome Paul Atreides, and I would love to have seen him play Emperor Paul Atreides in Dune Messiah.
Long live the fighters!
Long live the the fighters! Nebula Santa.
Do we have worm sign?
Who shall we have worm sign, the likes of which even God has never seen?
What was funny about that? Why did Stilgar look at Gurney smile and then Gurney smiled and laughed back? There was nothing funny about that. So the thing is with this final battle is that there's not really much action. It's like, pew pew, riding the worm, pew pew, and then that's kind of it. There's like reuse shots of the Sardaukar like throwing the Fremen and stuff. It's kind of it. In many ways, it's similar to the book in the sense of like it doesn't show the action that much. I mean, there is action in this, there's just not that much. So at least it like sticks to the ending and the idea of what Frank Herbert was trying to do with the ending of the book.
I am a messenger from Muad'Dib.
I am a messenger from Muad'Dib. Get out of my mind! How did you tell them both who I really am?
Tell me Arya is not the coolest character in this story. Villeneuve, Denis, mon ami, I love you, but you're a chicken. Why did you not do the demon toddler Arya? What is wrong with you?
You're just a chicken. Chip, 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 chip.
She is the best part of the book. She's so cool. I love Lynch's take on her. I think she works perfectly fine. I don't know why they dubbed her though. That's like a weird thing. They like dubbed the child actress even though you look at like the raw footage. And the child sounded perfectly fine. I don't know why they dubbed over her.
Atomics!
Atomics! Perfect line delivery. Fantastic. No notes. Patrick Stewart. Mwah. Fantastic. Okay, what is that that's coming down? Is that smoke? Is that water? What's going on here? I got no clue.
My brother is coming with many Fremen warriors.
She's so cool. Denis, why? What? Why? Lynch, this is why you have one up over Villeneuve. You adapted Arya. You had the balls to do it. I rate that. Honestly, can this Baron not do anything right? Even his death is annoying. Like, shut up and die.
Don't try your powers on me.
Don't try your powers on me, witch. I remember your Gom Jabbar. Now you'll remember mine. I can kill with a word.
You mustn't speak!
No notes. Fantastic. This is cheesy. I love it. Why does she growl at him? I got no clue. But I love it. Again, another point I have to give to Lynch over Villeneuve. He included this line of dialogue from the books. This line is awesome, and it's not in Dune Part 2. Villeneuve, mon ami, you chicken. What were you thinking? Where did these drums come from? Why did they start drumming? What's going on? I love it. I love that Thade bites his finger. Sting is really good. I like this fight a lot. Look, compare it to the 2024 version. It pales in comparison. Don't get me wrong. Like, this fight scene is, like, average. I just enjoy it because of the fact that Thade bites his finger. But in all seriousness, Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2, the fight between Paul and Thade is insane. It's nuts. This looks like kids play compared to that. That fight scene is mwah. But this film, unlike Dune Part 2, actually adapts the thing from the book where Thade has like a trick blade, so that's cool. But also they adapt the "she's your pet" line. I love that. It's so good. I mean, don't get me wrong, Austin Butler delivers it better, but I like the fact that they still include the "she's your pet" line. Fujrata! I don't know why he does that. I don't know what the point of that was. He just does it. It's fine, we'll allow it. It's one of those quirks about this film that I love, so it's fine.
God created Arrakis to train the faithful.
Hey, it's the line. It's one of the most famous lines from the book, and I love it. That's great. Though the thing is with the ending to this film is that you could not do Dune Messiah even if you wanted to, which is weird because I actually kind of want to see David Lynch's Dune Messiah. I feel like it would be so weird, but like, I don't know. I mean, I love this film because of how weird it is, but like, it's also not a good film. But then also, imagine this film, but with Dune Messiah. I kind of really want to see it. Look, I don't know why David Lynch had Paul, like, summon the rain and, like, make him an actual messiah and stuff. Like, what? That's not the point of the book. It's so weird. You get to the ending of this and you're just like, realistically, as a book fan, you watch this and you go, this has nothing to do with the story of Dune at all. Like, Paul becomes emperor and he is, like, the Fremen messiah, I guess, but, like, there is no substance to it at all.
And how can this be? For he is the Kwisatz Haderach.
For how can this be? For he is the Kwisatz Haderach.
I don't know what's up with this cheesy 80s credits montage, but Sure, yeah, it's the 80s, I guess. So that was Dune 1984, and look, as an adaptation of the book, I think for the most part, it's okay. At least the first half anyway is, you know, decent. The second half, it butchers it completely. I don't know what Lynch was thinking. The whole thematic idea of Dune is just not present in the second half at all. The thing is though, is that I kind of just love how like batshit this film is. It's so nuts. It's so wild. It's just like weird, and I love it. It's a fever dream, and I love it. But that being said though, just because like the film is like silly and goofy and weird and gross and all that kind of stuff, that doesn't mean that this film doesn't have any merit. Aesthetically it's fantastic, but also as an adaptation, the stuff it adapts well. It adapts really well, and I think in many ways it does it better than Villeneuve in some cases. Like, the interesting thing I find is that everything great David Lynch does with Dune, Villeneuve doesn't do as well, but everything Villeneuve does well with Dune, Lynch fails completely with. Like, this film explains the spice and gives you a sense of what the Landsrat is and the Spacing Guild. Villeneuve hasn't really focused on that. Villeneuve is very much like on the Paul Atreides story. He's really hammering home the idea of the false messiah, the charismatic leader, don't follow them and such. Listen, Al-Ga'i, blah, blah, blah. He's really focused on that. So although I have made fun with this film, there are nice things to say about it. But that being said, though, Villeneuve's version clears, like, infinitely. I mean, there's not much else to say. The films themselves speak for themselves. Like, you look at Dune 1984, and then you look at Dune Parts 1 and Parts 2, like, Villeneuve is just clearly superior. Although he's a chicken, because he didn't do Alia, he didn't use the word jihad, but mainly because he didn't do Alia, the chicken.
You're just a chicken. Chip, 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 chip.
I love you though, Denis. Put me in Dune Messiah. Love you. But those were my thoughts on Dune 1984. What do you guys think of this film? Because I know there are people that genuinely do love this film, and I know that there are people that absolutely despise this film. Which one are you? Let me know in the comments down below. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, listen to me, all the good stuff. Until we meet again, I'll see you guys next time. Long live the fighters!